Hello, my name is Pearl Lamley, fiber enthusiast and host to PBS docuseries on innovation, From Textiles to Texting. In this first installment, we will be discussing the history of the power loom and the textile machinery. You may be thinking, why would I want to know about that? A better question is, why wouldn't you want to know about the most booming industry during the Industrial Revolution? And if you're only watching this because there's nothing else on and I'm your last resort, buckle up, sweetheart, because we're in for a wild ride. Let me begin by setting the scene for you. It all starts with the invention of the flying shuttle. The flying shuttle was invented by a British man named John Kay, a real dreamboat if you ask me. Before this pivotal innovation, a small shuttle for the fiber had to be hand-passed between the threads and could require 2 or more weavers if the fabric was particularly wide. Super inefficient, I agree. The flying shuttle enabled this process to be automated using a track and paddles that moved at the pull of a cord by the weaver. This was the first major step towards modern looms. In the coming years following this innovation, other pivotal inventions to weaving like the spinning jenny and the water frame became available to further the textile making process, which at this time was largely based around cotton textiles due to their versatility. Fun fact, the Industrial Revolution was the beginning of the popularization of obtaining patents regularly for inventions. Prior to this, ideas were often swapped among farmers, steel mill workers, and other innovators. It was an idea free-for-all. Despite the threat of imitation not being countered by patents, the textile industry did not suffer. Why? Well, let me tell you. So few mechanics could build these looms, and not many entrepreneurs were capable of maintaining and directing mill operations, so imitation was not a concern, so long as it was not threatening profits. These trades of ideas really embodied the idea that teamwork makes the dream work. That is, until the 1830s, when imitation soared and profit margins shrank like a wool sweater in a dryer. Next, I'd like to discuss Mr. Edmund Cartwright. This man knew nothing about textile production at the start. Bless his poor soul. He sure was missing out. Edmund was inspired to automate a manual loom after having visited a cotton textile mill in Derbyshire. People thought his ideas were nonsense at the time and kind of ignored him. Nevertheless, he continued and patented his power loom in 1785. As he continued to improve his design, he also opened a factory that he intended to use to produce power looms on a mass scale. Things don't always go to plan, however, and this is especially true in Mr. Cartwright's case. He could never have planned for an uprising of hand weavers to burn down his factory in protest in fear of losing their jobs to an automated loom. Edmund Cartwright had gone bankrupt at this point due to inexperience in business and industry and was forced to sell his 400 remaining looms. This man was nothing if not persistent, however, because he continued to invent for the remainder of his life, and his design would continue to be improved upon and refined over the next 47 years. Alright, that is all the time we have. On our next installment, we will discuss... What was that? Being canceled for what? I didn't think it was possible to have negative viewers.